first elected was very interesting because I just felt as though, having been on a Jacksonville City Council and bringing that kind of experience in here to a city that wants to remain a residential community. And it is a residential community. And quality of life was at the top of my list, and making sure that we preserve that, quality of life and took care of our environment and that kind of thing. So those were the goals going in, still are. And those are the things that really got me, to really say yes to jumping in and becoming mayor. I want and feel as though all of my city council members need to be included as we march together to do the things that we need to do. And quite often things just interrupt what you think you're going down the road to do for other things. And that includes the pandemic, that threw all of us for a huge loop. But I feel as though we're on target. We've hired a resiliency officer here, which is great, and safe streets and Tree City and the things that really have to do with our environment are great. And then we are a coastal city, and we're really an island because we've got, the intercoastal waterway, and looking at sea level rise, et cetera, are things that, we're planning for the future. So I feel like it's a combination, you get started on something and then you have to kind of go for a hurricane or pandemic or whatever it might be, and then here you are back on. You have so much at risk. I've seen the devastation that Mexico City had when a hurricane hit there, and it just wipes out the town. I mean, they're still not recovered. And you just look at the impact in some fires in California. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So taking care of what we have, making sure that we're aware and on top of climate change is something that, I have to say I'm lucky. The other two mayors are right on board with me, and I'm on board with them as far as protecting our environment. It's very important to them. So we as a coastal community, which we consider all three of the cities, we really and truly feel as though this is something that we march in lockstep to and have as a priority with everything that we do and try to do, for future planning. I got into Jacksonville City politics because I was on the Chamber of Commerce and I was chair of the chamber out here. And then I started seeing, what was happening around Jacksonville. And I was one of those people that felt a vibrant downtown and a vibrant city where you attract, good paying jobs and technology. And that was one of the things that I felt, I really wanted to see happen. So that's why I got involved in politics and ran at large in Jacksonville. And I served, 8 years there. And one of my priorities was transportation, technology, and really and truly looking for good stewardship, if you would, of the city to make it attractive to people. And you want good jobs here. You want to support the business community. And when you're a business owner, you really do know what it takes to stay in business and, help employees to grow in the business, et cetera. So it's really important to me still to this day to make sure that we shop locally and that we support the local businesses, small businesses as well. It has to be the biggest challenge was working with all three beaches together with Duval County, with Mayor Curry. And this pandemic, when it finally hit, March, 2020 was like a turning point for so many of us. And it's here. It was actually here. And we had been kidding about bumping, when you did the elbow and, it was all something that, it's not really it's gonna pass. And then when we had to quarantine and we closed the beaches, and for a beach community, most people live out here so that they can be outside, going to the beach, roller skating, going on the beach with your bike, having your family walk. I mean, walking, jogging, everything is a part of why we live at the beach. How unprepared all of us were for the information that was just like a fire hose coming at you. And that fire hose of information changed and, wipe off your groceries. And you don't have to wipe off your groceries. And then, all of the things that happened with how it was spread, what we were doing. And when we closed the beaches, and that was in conjunction with all three of the beaches, communities and Duval County, it really was the hardest thing on beach living. And the people that lived in all three beaches, some of them were, to say angry is putting it mildly. And what we learned is that, like, say, the surfers, they all got together, they had a petition, they wanted the beaches back open because they were out in the water and they were more than 6 feet apart. They were doing all the right things, they said. But what you can't do is have a special group have the privilege of a public beach. And so that had to do with the joggers, that had to do with, the surfers. And so, it was hard to explain that to people. And a lot of them came up with great ideas on how we can open it for a few hours, or we can do this for this, or only people who live here, or the people who have beach homes, all of this information and the emergency issues that we got from Tallahassee, and they were getting them from, the federal government. That was the biggest challenge. And we made it through, and we made some people very angry about closing, and some that were angry that, we reopened too soon. But all of that was not only a learning experience, it was totally different from a hurricane. Totally different. It was an emergency, but so totally different. And I think that everyone throughout the United States and the world that's in, that has been in elected office, that you had to go through this like roller coaster of what to do to keep people safe. It truly has changed. I think that the millennials, I think that people are looking at equality now, and still women are underpaid, with in a lot of areas compared to men's salaries. But I have to say that, as a woman, when you are in a meeting with or whatever with men who kind of are treating you a little different than they would a guy. And it. I mean, you sense it, you feel it, But I think that when you have the interest of the entire community and of working together to make sure that we are all doing the things that are best for our communities, and we're doing them together, that I think that kind of levels the playing field, because we're all in this together. Men, women, children, we're all in this together. We all want the sand dunes to survive. We all want the beach to be renourished. We all want to keep the waters clean and, recycle and all of those things. Those are the good things. The bad things out here, and it isn't a male-female thing, but it really is that there's something not very sexy about infrastructure. And we have to be very knowledgeable about it when we're talking to, our public works and, people who say, I need drainage problem. I have drainage problem. I need it fixed. I feel as though the uniqueness to the world of the three of us being females is really kind of amusing, It's like, oh, okay, we'll take this pony show out and take it on the road, and which we have done and enjoyed. But boy, they are serious women and they're smart women, and it's just a real honor to serve with them. And we do have a great working relationship, and we can call up and say, hey, what do you think about so-and-so? Like this next city council meeting, we've got an Eagle Scout group coming. We've got young women at Fletcher and at the private schools that are doing just phenomenal things with science and taking such a great interest in our environment. I think the environment has really, been a jumping platform for a lot of people to get interested in science, and, that's good. So I am one of the most positive people about serving your community and doing the things that really make you happy. And this is not a happy job all the time. By no means. You get angry people, but the most important thing about it is you're serving your community and you're giving back. And that at night is the thing that you hope you've done something to make a positive change. And I think that more young people are seeing that than ever before. And I think the pandemic, you hate to say what's the good coming out of this, but caring about each other. and caring for one another and having to check on your neighbor and seeing kids who couldn't see each other for a long time and then they could, and then hearing, things that maybe bad things that happen in their families. But now, you get a chance to look at this. How can we prevent this? How can we support each other more? People lost their jobs. How can we keep that from happening? I'm seeing, and I may just, be wearing rose-colored glasses, but I think that a lot of people are getting it. And that's the most important part about becoming a public servant. Go in it to serve. Go in it to make sure that you're making a difference and that it's going to be something good. And I will say this, I think that, worldwide, if we had more women that were able to serve, that we would have a more peaceful, existence in many places. And I think that, you don't want your son to go off to war, your husband to go off to war, you don't want your sister to go off to war. You want to have things. And I think that a lot of this has been brought home to this generation, and I'm hopeful that they see it. But you have to be that person. And some will become doctors and nurses, or, they'll do lawns and pick up garbage. All of it, if you can look at any position at all as making a good difference, I think that's what's, important. So I would say that if somebody is looking at this, get involved in your community, get involved with your government, know what your government is, and know who is running it. And, I think that that's something now. It's through all the media that we have and social media, it's kind of hard to not know a lot of this, and because the complaining as well as, certainly the politics that are right in your face. But I think we're on a good track with a lot of people.